Okay, we're live.
Hi. Um, Hello, everyone, and out there in YouTube land and the interwebs. Welcome again to our weekly roundtable discussion of not only game shows, but we're trying something new. We're branching out, and we're going to be talking about other things as well. Like as you saw when we had the whole incident with the Kentucky Derby. You know how we talked about that decision and everything about that. So we were trying something new along here, and not just solely sticking to game shows. So with that in mind, I'd like to introduce you to our group of regulars, my co-host and creator of and founder of the Game Show Talk and Fun podcast. David, welcome.
Hey Scott, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing well. Joining us as always from the land down under, Carla.
Hi, and happy birthday, Matthew Wojus, if you're watching.
Yes. And Carla, it's very. I guess it's. I know what down there in Australia, you got the ashes going on right now.
That's not till August.
That's not till
Oh,
August. I
August
thought it.
1st.
Oh, August
August
1st.
1st.
All right. I got
okay.
the. Yeah. They goofed. I was watching the F1 race today, and they goofed about the Ashes tournament coming up. This but since ESPN2 that airs the F1 simulcasts it from Sky Sports, they goofed on it. So
Well, they just finished the Cricket World Cup, which England won.
that's and joining us as always from the bottom of South Mountain, our good friend Elliot. Welcome, Elliot.
Hello, happy Bastille Day, and if you're listening in Korea, happy birthday, Unjin Kim.
Oh, that's right. It is Bastille Day.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
All right,
Oui,
that's
oui.
ironic considering something we're going to talk about later. As
Well,
a matter of fact, let's bring it up now.
we're gonna storm the Bastille.
No,
That sounds like
No,
a game show I can work on.
a French driver won the Formula E championship this year.
We'll bring that up in a second. Do we have anything? Did we have anything that we wanted to bring up for Factor Crop?
Well, the only thing we've got as far as game show news this week is that this week they announced the 15 contestants that'll take part in the Jeopardy Tournament of Champions.
Oh, right,
Yes,
right.
get that out.
Right, I forgot about that. And let's welcome our longtime resident group to this podcast, Bill. Howdy.
Yeah. Howdy doody.
How are you? Yep. How are you doing, Bill?
I'm doing good. I got my first taste of Formula D last night, and I love it.
I have the list in front of me if you want me to read that off.
Yes. We're gonna. First of all, I think this is in order of business. The 15 challengers for this year's Jeopardy Tournament of Champions are. Take it away, Elliot.
In the number one position, of course, Jeopardy, James Holzhauer. With 32 with $2.462 million and 32 games won. And now it's
him and Ken Jennings to have a head-to-head match in the future.
No, if we're gonna do that, we have to throw in Brad too.
yes.
Yeah.
Alrighty, as I was saying before,
Go ahead.
with 7 games and $163,721, Josh Hill. Also with 7 games, $156,497. Ryan Fenster, 7 games, $145,403. Kyle Jones with 6 games, $133,900. Rob Warman with 5 games, $120,802. Alan Dunn with 5 games, $115,501. Stephen Grade with 4 wins, $105,602. Eric R. Bakes, Backes, Bakes, I don't know how it's pronounced. Another with 4 wins, $104,497. Enrique Garcia, another with 4 wins, $101,002 from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Lindsay Schultz with 5 wins and $84,201. Gilbert Collins with 5 wins and $75,999. Rachel Lindgreen and the college champion Dhruv Gar, however you pronounce that, and their teachers champion Francis Barcombe. And because we're gonna have there's one special wild card spot, they decided to throw in the person who defeated James Holzhauer with 3 wins, $97,002, Emma Botcher.
Right.
Well, there you go.
Yay!
They
Right.
put her in. They want to see a rematch. That is the match you want to see because she's the one that took down Jeopardy James.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Now, also in this, the other contestants that did not make, and there were a lot of.
There were other contestants that did qualify that did not make this list. They will be held over for they'll play in the 2020 tournament champions in the next year.
Which will be hosted by Barbara Walters.
Yeah,
No,
right.
No,
Not Barbara Wawa, not Barbara Walters, Barbara Wawa.
Okay, come on. Yeah, I had to make the joke about that. Yeah, but
Emily Latella. Never
Now,
mind.
according to Matthew Wojcik, we may as well just cut the $250,000 check to
And give
Jeopardy
it-
James right now.
See, now-
I think Emma's going to give her a run for the money. Well, James has to hit those daily doubles, and that's what brought him down. If he has bad luck with the daily bad luck in not hitting the daily doubles, it's good. The game could turn again.
Right.
Well,
But
that makes more
here-
sense than Ken Jennings losing it on who's H&R Block.
Well, he also lost. Ken Jennings also lost 2 daily doubles in that game.
right.
Like I
So
said,
here,
Yeah.
that's
so here's-
the same thing that killed both champions: daily doubles.
So here's my suggestion to have with all these champions that they've had. And I was talking to Dave about this when I found out about the list when they announced it over. They had it up on their YouTube page. My suggestion to this is with so many champions, they could have ran it like during the summer. They could have ran it like how they did for Super Jeopardy. They could have brought for having so many big name winners in this season of Jeopardy. They could have done a Super Jeopardy tournament during the summer.
I mean, bringing 27 players.
Yeah,
The 27 player would have been single elimination, except for the final 3. Then be a 2-day total point.
right. But you
That would have
you-
taken 13 weeks.
right, and you would still do it the way. Yeah,
30 episodes,
So
14
you would-
episodes. That'd be 14
Right.
episodes.
There goes
So you-
summer reruns.
right. Yep, instead of summer reruns. Exactly, Bill. I mean, you go you do the qualifiers with 4 players. And then I think when they went into the next round, then they dropped down to 3.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I
It's
didn't
been
like that.
s-
I did not like that 4-player format. To tell you the truth.
But-
Oh,
But
yeah.
for-
I think
but
if they had 27 players instead of 15, they could do 9 rounds of 3, which gives you 9 winners. Play another 3 rounds of 3, give you 3 finalists, and they play a 2-game total point.
That
Right.
was the primetime series of
would take-
specials.
It was
would
a
take
summer.
14
Go ahead, Elliot.
It would take 14 days for that format that I just mentioned. The Super Jeopardy that was after season 6. That was a primetime special. Yes,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they paired that one up with Monopoly.
right.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
The only thing I like about Monopoly, well, 2. 1 is the girl, and 2 is the music.
The only thing memorable about that show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's
M-O-N-O-C-O-L-Y.
No.
And its host was a former Jeopardy contestant, to be noted.
And Carla, I do have the theme for it.
M-O-N-O-P-O-L-Y Monopoly.
All right, but before
I
we get
have the adjusted theme, which will not be here.
right,
I
but
have the
theme. Before Merv Griffin decides to dox us for money.
Oh, you weren't around last night when I pulled out. My name is not Merv Griffin.
And he will not be right back after these messages is actually on his tombstone.
So I've got some other ones locked in the closet with Vanna White.
That's
All right.
yeah.
Yeah. So
And please, Vanna, buy me
we
a
are
letter.
we are in tune for probably a very good Tournament of Champions. I think Tournament of Champions. I think this is the first time that both of the other season tournament winners are coming back to compete in the actual Tournament of Champions.
You mean you talk about the teachers and the teachers in the college? They always invited them.
Okay, no,
No.
I didn't.
They
No.
always did that.
Not for the last few years.
Oh, they didn't though. They used
No.
to do. They used to do a
No,
lot.
not for the last few years. They just started the practice again.
Yeah.
So let's see who goes on this, and we'll keep you updated on that when it happens. We
November.
Yep, and we hope maybe it'll come down to James, Emma, and Watson.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
What?
There you go, right there. The only player that can beat our Jeopardy guy is Watson.
Yeah, but I'm
Right
using the Watson name as a placeholder for whoever that third player is. That's who I'm rooting for the championship game. It comes down to James, Emma, and whoever that third. Yeah.
Oh, what's his name?
I would go
Yeah.
with the teacher, maybe. Right?
Well, we'll find out. We'll keep you posted exactly when that happens. So stay tuned to November. Excuse me. Stay tuned to November on that, and we'll keep you posted on that. Remember for Jeopardy, check your local listings for that.
Yeah, for time
That's
and
right.
channel.
Right.
Hopefully
As we say,
here at 7:30.
yeah, as we say in the business.
As I told Scott the one day when he started talking about what happened, I said, "Hey, you're spoiling it for me because it's just coming on."
Right. Well, in other news
didn't
today.
know.
No, I didn't know. Right. So
Here we go.
today's topic, as you saw, I titled it Let's Race. We're going to be talking about, auto racing today. And not just auto racing as in the live events like NASCAR, F1, and the FE series, but also, the racing games that came out of it, like Mario Kart.
Can we
The-
mention TV shows based on racing too?
I'm not sure if there was any.
Oh,
yeah.
he's talking about the cartoon Speed.
Oh,
Racer.
Speed Racer.
And
Yeah.
wacky
Yeah.
races.
And Wacky
Yeah.
Races too.
That one was.
Now there was a
that
game
I
show
read was
reference as
actually
far as
supposed-
wacky
Yeah.
races.
Yeah, but
I
this
think
was
the Wacky Races was actually originally supposed to be a game show.
Yeah,
right.
it was supposed to be a kids game show hosted by Wink Martindale.
Wow.
Well,
Right.
in his last season on Tic Tac Toe, they blew off the summer break by rerunning all of Tom McKee's games.
Ah,
Uh,
interesting. So anyway, in some bit of news today, since we just had two big races today as well. We've had the last race of the Formula E series here in New York City, down in Brooklyn, and also the F1 race in Silverstone, Great Britain. So with that,
Must be more than two Fs. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead.
Nothing. I'm just mumbling to myself.
And joining us all the way from Austin, Texas, where they actually hold
Houston.
Houston,
Texas,
where they,
Texas.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yes, we do. And its name is Chuck.
Hey.
Hey,
No,
Chuck.
and
That's a joke, son. That's
all
a
right,
joke.
guys.
so anyway, and this just from our good friend Brian, real quick before we get into the other news, Supermarket Sweep is coming back to TV
No way.
in the United Kingdom.
In the United
Don't
Kingdom.
crud.
I didn't know that news. Didn't know that.
Brian
is
just
news
told
to me.
me. Yep.
Okay.
As we get more information about the the sweep coming back to the United Kingdom, we'll pass that on to you as well. So stay tuned for that. We'll probably make a separate video on that. But
I've got
we have a really big
traveling,
topic.
too.
Now, Chuck, since you live down there in Houston,
Yes, sir.
and down there in Houston, as of right now, is home to the U.S. Grand Prix.
That's right.
But today, here in New York City, we just finished up the Formula E series, which tends to be the last. I think that for the 5th year, David, now correct me if I'm wrong, that Brooklyn has always been the last stop on the FE series.
Yep. But it won't be in 2020.
Where will that
Why
be?
could
It was
be?
just announced today.
Oh wow! So they're adding more circuits.
They're adding London, England to the circuit. To the calendar.
Whoa.
So England is now going to be the new ending.
Yep. England will now be the final race, and the New York E-Prix will be the second to last race.
Damn it, England's getting all the good stuff.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Did they announce where the Formula E series is going to be raced at? 'Cause we know that the E series is all street tracks and everything.
It'll be on the track, yeah.
Hold on. Let me pull it up. I had it pulled up here.
Right.
Here, not just a few seconds ago.
Yep.
Okay. They're calling it the London E-Prix, and it will be held in the Battersea Park section of London.
Oh, Battersea, okay.
That's cool.
Wow.
All right then. According to what I'm reading here, it's 2.9 kilometers in length, and it features 17 turns.
Oh,
Whoa. 17 turns.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but and at least we're seeing new technology with the e-cars and everything, and in some videos I watch, the stuff that they designed for the e-cars is slowly coming down to the actual consumer market, electric cars and everything.
That's wild.
Yep. Which is a good thing about that, they get to test out all this new technology, and then it comes down to our cars and everything that we have. It slowly trickles down to the consumer market.
That's cool.
Yeah. So also today was the F1 race in London, England, at the Silverstone track, and on Wednesday. Now I know they were running short on a deadline for that, but on Wednesday they signed a contract to keep the British Grand Prix at Silverstone for 5 more years, starting next year.
Has Monaco happened yet?
And Monaco has happened.
Yes. Now, David, we were talking about this earlier about the Formula E series and Monaco.
Yeah.
Now, as of right now, they race on a shorter version of that track.
Yes, they did.
So,
Now-
and I know, go ahead.
All right. And the drivers are petitioning that the 2021 race is held on the full Monaco circuit.
Wow.
And I think that
Now
goes
that's
for.
wild.
Now, I think you were saying that goes for a lot of the other tracks. They want to
Yeah,
do
that
the.
goes for a lot of these other tracks that are held at Formula One tracks to run the full circuits.
Right.
Does Australia run the full circuit, or they complain about that?
The Formula E series is not in Australia yet.
No, sorry,
Right.
I was talking about the Formula One.
Oh yeah, no, that's a full track. That's the full
Yeah.
Melbourne.
Yeah. Melbourne. They
Yeah,
race their full. They race the entire track.
Especially in Monaco, because that's a track. The Monaco is like, to us, for the Indy 500 and the Daytona 500.
Now, Elliot,
Yes.
I don't know if you know too much about F1 or FE or Formula E racing. Like
much.
Scott said the Formula E cars run at a bridge street circuit at Monaco. Do you agree that the drivers should race the full Monaco circuit in 2021?
It's just it's like trying to run the Indy 500 on half the track. You don't do that. You play the whole track.
Okay.
That goes without saying, you know.
No,
Okay.
never heard of the Indy 250.
Yeah.
Now, how many of you are familiar with the Monaco Grand Prix?
I am.
I've heard of it. I also was a video game called Monaco GP. That actually ran that track.
Yes.
That's right.
I'll look up the video game while you guys talk. Now,
Made by Sega many years ago.
I think I'll find the video on it. Maybe I can show it.
all right, go ahead. Now, the Monaco track, it's. Now, I'm reading this right off the wiki page here.
Yeah.
The Monaco Grand Prix is an F1 motor race held each year on the Circuit de. Is it?
Circuit
Monaco-
de Monaco.
So it's a French. D is.
Yeah.
It's the French pronouncing.
Right. It is a Monaco is a French principality, so it is pronounced in French.
Which I think translates to what does that translate to?
Word Monaco. I think it's just a name.
The DE. Does that translate to anything, Dave?
Day. I don't.
It translates to Circuit of Monaco.
Okay. So DE is the of as in English, then, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of the most famous racetracks, and I know we were talking about this one too as well with the Indy 500 and the Le Mans forming the Triple Crown of motorsports.
Now,
And everything.
understand one thing. Oh,
This is the game.
here's some more news.
Well, hold on. What Elliot is showing right now, this is was this an arcade game?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Made by Sega, I remember that.
Right.
Okay.
It just looks like you're going in a straight line and everything.
It improved a little bit when the game came to Genesis and Sega Master System.
Can you see if you can pull up the any of the Sega the
Yeah, I can find
actual
it.
console? Yeah. While Elliot's doing that.
I think it's called Super Monaco GP from that point on. Super.
Yes, it is. Here it is. I'll get that up here now.
That's called Super.
And this is now the Monaco track is probably the most it's the most famous track of them all.
Of
And
the
everything.
of all the courses on the F1 calendar, yes, it is the one that is most well known.
That's right.
And there it is.
Yep.
Yep,
There
and
it is.
Yep. We're hearing TV noise in the background, so
Yeah.
It's not me. I don't have a TV on.
But that is Super Monaco Grand Prix right there.
That's awesome.
and that is a modified version of the track. I wonder if it'll let you actually race the full. Oh, it's the qualifying lap. I
Yeah.
misread that, but yeah. And then there was also probably one of my favorite games, Pole Position,
Yep.
which actually had the Suzuka track.
Well, Fiji.
Yeah, no, it was the Japanese track.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
The test track.
But okay. For 2021, like I said the FE drivers want to race the full Monaco circuit.
Wow.
Now, understand one thing. These FE cars can reach speeds in excess of 180 miles per hour.
Yikes.
About
That
as
is
fast,
fast.
about
Yes,
as
it is.
about as fast as their F1 counterparts.
Yeah. And the good thing about that is they don't have to come in and change cars anymore, correct?
No, they don't. Now the
They
rules
don't-
for
they
an
don't-
FE race are a little different.
Oh,
Whereas
didn't-
for go ahead.
Yeah.
no, I didn't know that the rules were different for the.
No, the rules are no different. I'm just saying that instead of the number of laps in a FE race,
Oh.
it's 45 minutes of racing plus 1 lap.
Oh.
45 minutes racing plus 1 lap?
Yep.
Yep.
Wow.
And how did
Well,
they
it's
determine the
also-
winner? The player. How did they determine the winner in the FE series? Is the person who's completed the most laps?
The player with the most points at the end of the game is the player with the most points at the end of the game.
It is the driver that has driven the furthest in those 45 minutes plus 1 lap.
So kind of like the old Le Mans rules.
Right.
Yeah, and Formula E doesn't do as many laps as Formula
Well,
but
yeah.
still good to
Also,
watch.
that's because these cars are battery powered and everything.
So they have to go on time limits.
I was wondering what the E standard for in Formula E.
Oh, stands for electric.
Yes,
Right.
I know now.
Yeah. Now, just announced today. They just announced this today. Penske Motorsports is getting into the Formula E series.
Oh wow!
No way.
Just announced today. Hey, Jay Penske, he is bringing a Formula E team to the sport. So
Holy
America is
mackerel.
getting back into Formula racing.
Well, we
Probably
already-
Jack wouldn't have done it.
USA.
Well, we already have one person one
Right.
famous person involved in that.
Right. We have Mario Andretti is already involved, but now we have Penske is now getting involved.
Now, do you think? Now, here's my question because I know we were talking about this earlier today too. Do you think that Andretti would team up with Penske to try to help bring the F1 and raise its popularity here in the States, or try to get a F1 US driver added?
Now that I see this happening, because it was just literally announced at the end of the race today, that is a serious possibility. We are probably going to see a U.S. driver. Maybe not in the F1 series next year, but we'll probably definitely see a U.S. driver in the FE series.
Now,
Why not?
can they move from FE to F1?
Yes, they can.
Okay, so it'd be like going from F3 to F2 to F2 to F1.
Right.
But I know you can't move backwards, so you can't go from F1 to F2.
Right. You can be relegated if your performance is not up to snuff.
Then,
You can be.
Yeah.
Rules on
Yeah, just like the Premier League in soccer in England, you can be relegated.
and in rugby league, if you can't play up to
Yeah.
standard, you can be relegated down to reserve grade.
Yeah.
Right.
Same concept.
Yeah.
Right. Now since speaking of Monaco, and I'm looking at the stats here of, I'm looking at the wiki page for the Monaco Grand Prix, since we were talking about this just now. That it was part of the second. It was included in the first World Championship of Drivers in 1950.
Right.
3 years before my mother was born.
Right. Now,
So,
understand one thing. thing. When you talk about Monaco, years ago, if you were a race car driver, that is the one race you wanted on your resume.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that's because
Go ahead.
it's
I
no
would
longer
still,
the case.
but it's still one of the. It's still. I would put that like winning winning Monaco is kind of like winning the Indy 500.
Now that
It's
it
the
would be.
it's the race everyone. It's the race that everyone wants to win.
But it's not the premier of racing event anymore. It is for the F1 series, but if you're a race car driver now, the one race you do want on your resume is the Daytona 500.
Ooh.
Right.
But talking about that, the sport of NASCAR is dying.
Eek.
Yeah. We'll get into that also about that too. But yeah.
But Carla, you live down under. I don't know if you live anywhere near Melbourne, but do they make
No,
a
I
big
don't.
deal of the F1 series when it comes into Australia?
Oh, they advertise it a lot during sport, like on sports channels, so they know when it's coming on the television, and they'll
Okay.
watch it.
All right. Chuck, we're only a few weeks away from the U.S. Grand Prix. Do they make a big deal about it down there in Texas?
Yes, they do every year.
I thought they did.
Plus, they also did one for Maryland a couple years ago too.
Yeah, they did one. Well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, let's
All right.
Yeah.
Now, okay, the U.S. has been wanting to get their feet wet as far as being a premier stop on the F1 series. So much so,
David,
yeah,
the US Grand Prix isn't until November.
it's not until November. I thought it was a few weeks from now. Okay.
November 3rd on ABC.
Okay.
At
That's less than 2 months.
at 2:10 p.m. is when they go dark.
Okay. I didn't know that. I thought it was in August sometime.
No, I just looked it up on the over on the F1 over
Calendar?
on Google.
Okay.
Yeah, over on the Google calendar.
Austin, Sunday, November 3rd.
Okay. Thank you, Elliot. I thought it was in August.
Yep.
Okay. Now, Elliot, let me ask you here because you're kind of a sports guy, even though you have admitted you're not much of a racing fan.
Yeah.
Would you support the United States having more than one F1 Grand Prix?
Why not? It's all about the. When it comes to sports, even though it's fun to watch, when push comes to shove, it's all about the money. And if they get more in, the more races they have, the more money they'll take in. And I don't know how I don't know how American Formula One is. It's a matter of it's like soccer. Can you get soccer into the United States? Very tough to do. We do have our women's team, of course. Congratulations to them. But soccer is not really a. It is around, but it's not. It's very tough to get a lot of people into soccer. It's not the American sport. Football's the American sport. Take it or leave it. And we have our NASCAR, and that's what we like. Now I don't know.
A lot of soccer moms would take
As I was saying before I was so really interrupted,
Hi, Bill.
the American. I don't really have my don't really have the pulse of America right at my beck and call, so I can figure out what they're thinking of. So that's only my personal opinion. I do not know what America is thinking as far as do we want a Grand Prix. But if the audience is there, bring it on.
Okay, Chuck. Now you live down there in the neck of the woods where the U.S. Grand Prix is held. Would you support a second Grand Prix for the United States?
Yes, I would, because we need a second Grand Prix here in the state.
Okay. Now,
What do you think they should hold if they do decide to do a second Grand Prix? Where do you think they they should hold it.
Florida.
Besides here in Houston, I agree with Carla. I'd go with Florida, Orlando.
My suggestion, if they do another e-race here in the United States, have it in San Francisco.
What about
Do not
what about
run-
having
do
in
not run down
Austin?
Lombard Street.
How about having it in Austin?
No. I was just thinking about that too. Having them go down.
Now, first of all, that street is like
Bill.
very protected. You can't. You would ruin the street with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Bill, would you support the U.S. having a second Grand Prix? Think
Yeah,
about it.
I really don't know.
Okay.
I don't really pay any
No.
attention.
Now,
to
Scott,
it.
I know Bill would like to have it up there in Michigan, and it would be called the General Mills Bowl.
First of all, it'd be a general
We
circuit.
could probably, schedule,
Well, no,
over
I
at
mean-
MIS.
yeah, I make that reference because where Bill lives in that neck of the woods, he lives in breakfast cereal.
But if they did have a bowl game, in Grand Prix, if they have a bowl game in Grand Rapids, Michigan, it would be called the Cereal Bowl.
Cereal Bowl.
Tony the
Now-
Tiger would be
okay.
the Grand Marshal.
you
Yep.
live in the neck of the woods where the second U.S. Grand Prix was supposed to be held.
Right, and
I'm on the air, Mom.
and the Formula E series too.
She's not supposed to be in.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Dog.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing,
Experiencing family.
All right, I will be right back. I have to do
Yeah.
something, folks. This is a live broadcast. I'm in the comfort of my home.
yeah, we're in the comfort of our own home, so things do tend to happen. While we're waiting for Dave to come back, let's shift our focus over to the video game aspect of racing and everything.
Time for a word from Puck
That's right.
No,
That's right.
No, because this is
That's the
wanna keep-
YouTube channel. We don't want to
Yeah.
get. We don't want to.
I know. I'm kidding you
I
guys.
know.
You
So-
forget, I don't even
We don't want to
So-
get a copyright strike.
so with
I don't
that.
have it.
Hello.
Go on about the video game, Scott. I'm ready.
And now
So-
Sarah's just getting involved too.
As I dropped my phone, which I'm doing this from, probably one of the most famous racing video games is the one Elliot is showing right now, and that is Pole Position. Is
So I
that
just
one?
started on the Fuji track.
That's right. It's a classic.
Is that is that one or two?
It's one.
And they made
Released in 1980 by Namco, which was ported here by Atari here in the States.
right, and it's still probably one of my favorite games. Now, I like Pole Position 2 because it gives you a choice of 4 tracks to choose from and everything.
And there was also TX1 as well.
Yep. But we're mainly focusing on racing games like F1 and Mario Pole Position. And probably one of the more famous games that everyone enjoys playing that
What?
came out from the Super Nintendo many moons ago.
What?
Mario
Mario
Kart.
Mario Kart, what else would it be?
Oh.
Right.
Never played it.
Well,
Never
I had
played it.
I've played them all.
Never played it.
I
Now-
have a favorite.
Mario
I
Kart
don't
is
even have a
probably
Nintendo system.
now Mario Kart is probably one of the more famous racing games out there because it started all the way back on the SNES, and it is now on. I believe they released it for the Switch. We have Mario.
That's
Kart.
right.
I
Mario
don't- I
Kart
don't-
8 Deluxe. That's right. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Switch.
and it just gets better. It gets better over time with Mario Kart.
Like a fine wine.
Yeah, and that has everyone's favorite cast of Nintendo characters: Mario, Luigi, Bowser. All the. See, it has
Yeah,
all the. Go ahead.
Wasn't Bowser on Sha-Na-Na?
No,
Yeah.
no. We're talking about
Wrong.
King Koopa.
Wrong
No, he
Bowser.
was.
Wrong Bowser.
Yeah, I know. But
Now, also in that genre, like Elliot was showing earlier, we had the Super Monaco GP game, and probably one of the more famous ones out there is Outrun.
Oh my god, I loved Outrun. It's a classic.
Yep, Outrun's always a
That's it.
classic, but probably also one of the more famous arcade games out there.
Mhm.
That's a racing game, and Chuck, you probably know this one. I've spent many of quarters playing it. Daytona USA.
Oh, I love that
OM
game.
OMG Daytona USA. That game is old school. I remember playing that when I was a teenager.
Right,
I remember that going to the arcades and playing it.
right.
And another racing game I remember playing was Cruising USA, Cruising
our-
World, and Cruising Exotica.
Hang on,
Right.
maybe I played it on
Now-
one of the gaming consoles too.
Now, Chuck, did you play the one where it was standing up, or the one where you actually got to sit down?
I played the sit down one. My favorite.
I've played
You're
both.
talking about the cruising game you see.
There was,
Mm.
there was two games. They were racing type, sort of racing type games. One was Wave Rider. Well, that was a jet ski game. And another one was
Yeah.
Crazy Taxi. I love that too.
Crazy Taxi is not more of a racing game. That's a
Well, it kind of is to me.
yeah. But yeah. So,
Okay, I'm back.
all right,
Okay,
welcome back,
welcome
Dave.
Dave.
All right.
So,
Talking about video games.
yeah,
Okay.
we just shifted about that. So we brought up about Mario Kart being probably one of the more famous racing games out there that everyone
Yes.
that everyone has played, or if you haven't played it, go play it. You're missing out. It's a very fun game and everything. And
Just
that's
don't play Double Dash.
Double Dash. I can't fault Double Dash on that. That was a good game too, and everything. And then we were Outrun is another good racing game. Cruising USA.
That's the one everyone thinks about when you play Nintendo 64.
Yep.
Cruising
But-
World and Cruising Exotica.
And then probably one of the more famous arcade racing games that everyone has probably played, Daytona USA.
Very fun.
Yep.
And the fun thing about that is if you do have a Dave and Buster's in your area, I do believe that a lot of the Dave and Buster's still to this day have the Daytona USA game in their arcades.
And plus, there's a new Cruise End game out, which is at Dave and Buster's too.
Interesting.
And we don't know.
So, so Dave, back to what you were talking about.
Okay.
Well, you were going to pose me a question.
Okay. Scott, would you live in the neck of the woods where the second U.S. Grand Prix was supposed to be held before
Yes.
the powers that be chickened out of the deal? Would you think the second U.S. Grand Prix should still be held in New York?
Yes, I love. And currently, right now, like we said, we have the E series here too.
Yes, the E series is there.
But as for a F1 track, yeah, I would
Okay.
love to see. I would love to see a F1 track somewhere here in the city, or whether it be like a street track or a closed circuit track.
Okay.
If I had it, if I was that powers to be, I'd probably make the racetrack over at the Meadowlands. Right on the
All right,
other.
then that'd be an interesting concept.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, over it, not at the racetrack itself, in the Meadowlands area. in that
Okay.
in that complex and everything, or have it
Okay.
somewhere. Yeah.
All right. Now, as far as now, let's touch about this a little bit. Elliot,
Yes.
like you've been saying, F1, it's not really got its grip into the United States yet. Not a real grip like NASCAR has.
Right.
Or had I should
Had,
we should-
right.
Yeah.
Had is the key word because NASCAR, for lack of a better word, it is dying. It is a dying sport. It's people, I guess you could say, they're tired of watching left turns all the time.
Oh,
And people in Jersey do not know what a left turn is.
Yeah, I don't think they do
keep
here in
going round
Michigan either.
circles.
They don't here in Michigan either because they've got what they call the Michigan left turn. They have to go past the intersection, loop around to come back the other side, and then make your turn as a right turn.
All right, Elliot, what do you think is leading to the decline of NASCAR in the United States?
Well, a lot of things. It's possibly that the NASCAR is viewed by the mostly the South and possibly the ticket prices is one thing.
Okay.
It's the people are being priced out of the market in all sports really, and it's become a sport of the rich. And so only the rich people can actually afford to go. People are still watching it on TV, but it's still in all sports in general. It's a thing for the rich anymore. You can't just you don't have the bleach. You can't get the $5 bleacher seats anymore.
Okay.
Unless you Jack Nicholson.
Bill, you live in Michigan. What do you think? Home of Detroit. What do you think is causing NASCAR's decline? Or do you know enough about the sport to even give your opinion?
Well, let's just say, the best of my knowledge, NASCAR doesn't even come here.
Okay. All right. Carla, I know it doesn't come to Australia. It's strictly
No,
a U.S.
but
thing.
And I used to
But
live in.
But I have heard of NASCAR, and I've heard of it. Like it's similar.
Michigan International Speedway. There is a Michigan race in the NASCAR circuit.
Okay.
Oh, okay, I forgot about that, but they use that for all different types of racing.
Right.
All I was trying to
Chariots.
say, they have like
Ave Caesar.
Doesn't NASCAR have like Formula One cars? Because I know that Will Power.
That's IndyCar.
Yeah, that's Indy cars.
I knew it was something.
And there's only one person in the entire history of auto racing that has raced both F1, IndyCar, and NASCAR.
And has won all three of the golden events.
Who is it?
And he lives out in
Danica Patrick.
no, and he lives out in Elliot's neck of the woods in PA.
Mario Andretti.
Yep.
Mario Andretti is the only driver to ever win Monaco, the Indy 500, and the Daytona 500. He's won all three.
Cool.
Now, if he was to win the Le Mans, that would be. If he was to win the Le Mans, I think that would have been a grand slam, right?
Yeah. That would have been the Grand Slam, but unofficially, the Daytona 500, the Monaco Grand Prix, and the Indianapolis 500 make up the Triple Crown.
Unofficially.
Yeah, unofficially.
There's no such thing. It's something we made up.
Yeah.
No, it's they named it like that on the Wikipedia page too.
Yeah.
Now, also with this,
go ahead, I'm listening.
I lost my train of thought. I was going to say,
Okay.
but no, I actually
station.
Yeah, no, I used to live in PA too, but you know the Pocono Downs.
Yeah.
Pocono, what was it? The Pocono
International
500?
Speedway.
The Pocono race with the Pocono race with the terrible triangle.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Okay. Now, Elliot, you were talking about, the price of admission is getting so high in NASCAR you can't attend it. Should the powers that be in Formula One consider this as their chance to get into the US and try to grab, some of the market here?
Strike while the iron's hot. Go for it.
Okay. Chuck, what do you think?
Go for it.
Okay. Carla, what do you think?
Why not?
Okay. Bill, your thoughts?
Yeah, we can't have those professional athletes taking all the money.
Okay. Scott, your thoughts. Is
Yeah.
this the time for the F1 series to come into the United States and actually try to get a hold of the market here?
Yeah, or having the governing body of, which I think is the FIA, take over for NASCAR and try to fix it up and everything.
All right, then we'll touch on that subject on another night. How would you fix NASCAR? Yeah.
Right.
But
And I know we were talking about that earlier too.
Yep.
With that.
Oh, that's the Poconos
That's
Raceway.
Pocono Raceway. The terrible triangle.
Yeah,
Yep.
The tricky triangle.
What do you expect? What do you say that the Bermuda Triangle?
It looks like a Dorito to me.
And
I would say more or less like an upside down, like a golf club. It looks like.
Getting one
it's called
right
the tricky.
in
The official
in the
name is the
face.
Tricky Triangle.
The official name is
Pocono-
the Tricky Triangle.
Yeah, Tricky Triangle Club at Pocono Raceway.
at the Pocono.
I know.
He's
Now I know.
Pocono.
Now, as far as the Triple Crown of NASCAR is concerned, it's the race at Pocono, one of the races at Talladega, and one of the races at Daytona make up NASCAR's Triple Crown.
Oh, goody.
No, wait, is that the Talladega 500?
Well, it's went by several names, but you could call it the Talladega 500.
Yeah, no, we don't count the sponsors.
Yeah.
I still call it the Firecracker 400.
Yeah. No, that's
And let's please not bring
summer
and-
race
and-
at
Be
Daytona.
careful where you sit.
The
Don't
That's-
bring
that's-
Ricky Bobby into this.
Yeah.
Or
That's-
Walker,
Oh,
Texas Ranger.
They're not bringing
Firecracker
Las Vegas
family.
into this.
Now, the late Dale Earnhardt is one of the few drivers that won the Triple Crown of NASCAR in the same year.
One of the greatest of all time.
I hope his son does it one day.
His son
Well-
is retired from racing.
Oh, crud.
But you know who I think is one of my favorite racers and one of the greatest of all time is?
Who?
Jeff
Yeah.
Gordon.
Now, Jeff was a good racer.
But he's retired now, too.
But Richard Petty is still the king.
And
Now,
what about
realize
his son?
one thing.
And the funny thing
What
about that
his son?
is,
I think it's Kyle.
I work up at Foxwoods. They're sponsoring, I think it's the New Hampshire 401.
Yep.
and they still got that stupid gopher cam.
Yeah.
Yes,
Is there-
but NBC doesn't use it. NBC doesn't.
Thank goodness. Somebody
There's also
had-
the NASCAR Camping Truck Series too. I think.
Yes. There are a lot of feeder systems into the premier racing leagues around the world. For example, there's F3 and F2 that feed into F1.
Wow.
You have the Truck Series and the Infinity Series, which feeds into the Monster Series.
Look
What about
out.
the What about the USHRA, United States Hot Rod Association?
Now that's more Brian Sapinski's department. I'm not a big.
Isn't that, yeah, hot rods are
Yeah.
more like drag
Right.
cars. I like them.
Now, as
Yep.
far as internationally, the
Oh, yeah,
F1 series is pretty healthy.
Yep, coming up. Oh, that was today. No, wait. That's next Sunday. Is the up there in New Hampshire? Is the 30 the New Hampshire 301,
Okay.
and that's actually yeah, that's actually sponsored by the casino where I work at.
Okay.
Cool.
Foxwoods.
So, yep. So the funny thing is, on the Grand Concourse for right now, they actually have one of the stock cars up there and
Okay.
everything.
Whoa, that's cool.
With the trophy.
With the championship trophy, the trophy that'll be given to the winner.
Either it's a replica version
Or
or
it's the real McCoy.
yeah. Yeah. It's
Okay.
actually called the Foxwoods 301.
Okay.
Oh,
We will.
Is that gonna be on TV, Scott?
Yes,
Yeah, it's gonna
NBC
be on-
Sports
damn near
Network.
every one of them is on TV.
Cool.
It'll be on NBC Sports Network.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, David, on this. Now, I know that there's a place out, I think it's out in Vegas, where you can actually learn how to drive the
Yeah,
stock
the
car.
NASCAR driving school is what they call it.
Yeah, I've seen bits on it.
What is that actually? Is that
It
and
is
that
just, it is just like for the F1 series. You have to get a super license to be allowed to race in the series.
right? But is
People
that like
that people that finish that finish that school in Las Vegas qualify for a NASCAR license.
now is that open to everybody? Like,
As long as you pay the entrance fee.
does F1 have something like that?
No. They
Well,
don't have open tryouts.
Right.
F1 does not have open tryouts. There is a chain you have to follow. You have to go through F3 to get to F2. You have to go through F2 to get to F1.
And I think it's so many points to get the super license.
Yes, it is.
Mm.
And you can't race in F1 without a super license.
Same like with NASCAR, right?
Right. You can't race in NASCAR without a NASCAR license.
And then that's when you get talking about contracts and everything else. Which
Graduating
actually,
from the school is what gets you into. Now that's just recent. Those are just recent rules. Used to be you could break into the sport without having to get your racing license. That's not the case anymore.
wasn't there something like that they did? I think that was like a fan experience out there in Vegas.
Yes, and they still do.
There's also one in South Carolina.
Yes.
You can what you do, you pay. Back my brother did about 10, 15 years ago. You could pay $100 to get a ride, you get 2 laps.
Yep.
And it's a guy the actual driver will run the car, and you get to.
Now
Well, hold on. Oh wait. Explain more about that, please.
Well, all I know about it is you go to this. It's a racetrack in South Carolina. I don't know where it is, but I think it was back then. It was $100. Then you get there's an actual professional driver. He races. He gives you 2 laps in the car. He drives. You sit in the passenger seat.
Okay.
That's all I know about them.
All right.
My brother did that. So that's all I remember from him telling me.
Okay. With that being said, let's talk about
Probably.
we've talked about video games about racing. We've talked about racing in general.
Well, we forgot about one of the most prestigious races of them all.
Which one?
The 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Well, you're right, but yet Le Mans is overshadowed in this country anyway by the 24 Hours of Daytona.
Well, it's part of the Le Mans series.
Well, that's true.
It's in that endurance racing with the
Right.
but the Le Mans is still
The premier event of endurance racing, yes.
yes. I'm gonna
Okay.
actually look that up right now.
Okay. Let's.
Well, the 24 hours of Daytona, formerly the Rolex 24 at Daytona.
Oh,
Yep.
geez, sponsorship.
It is a set. It's the international. It's the. Yeah, I'm looking it up right now about the 24 hours, and the funny thing is, they actually race the Le Mans style cars at these things too.
Yes, they do.
And it's Rolex. Yep. Winning drivers of all classes receive a Stuart Rolex watch. So this is now. Also looking at this here on the Wikipedia page, this is one of the legs of the Triple Crown of endurance racing.
Yes, it is.
So the Triple Crown of, well, speaking of Triple Crowns, we were just talking about that and everything. So the Triple Crown of endurance racing is Daytona, 12 hours of Sebring, and the 24 hours of Le Mans.
Yep.
And of course, we can't forget, we've talked about video games. We actually talked about the actual thing. What about racing movies and TV shows?
Mad Max.
The most famous of racing movies is probably Days of Thunder.
No, what
Right.
about the Fast and the Furious?
Doesn't
That's
count. We're talking
that-
about actual sports.
Well,
Oh.
there's one movie also that's probably two movies that are probably up there. One of them, which I actually own,
Okay.
Le Mans,
Le Mans.
Mm-hmm.
with Steve McQueen.
Ah, yes.
Yes. I remember
And
that.
and then, of course, the other.
Okay.
And then probably the other one is the.
Go on.
Well, Cannonball Run, yeah, that was a funny movie too.
Not really what you consider racing, but it is it's a cross-country endurance race.
Yeah, you were going
Sort of like
from
that in Smokey and the Bandit.
Pretty much the same thing. I think it was just about the same cast.
right,
Okay.
and then of course we can't forget about the movie itself, Grand Prix,
Right.
Mhm.
with now,
Don't
correct me if
forget
I'm
the-
wrong, with the guy who played Maverick himself, James Gardner.
Mhm.
Donna. And don't forget there was another race movie called Rat Race.
Yeah.
Oh, that was not really.
No,
that was more of a
Rat
scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
Rat Race is more of a remake of the movie. It's a mad, 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 mad world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
no,
whole
but
thing-
still.
the whole thing
Calm
was a
down.
scavenger hunt.
Well, another racing movie.
Scavenger Hunt's a different movie.
Another racing movie I can think of is Talladega Nights: The Ballad of Ricky Bobby.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah,
get me started on that.
Oh,
but that
I
was more of a comedy movie.
I just wanted to go off here on a tangent for a second.
Go ahead, Bill.
Cars.
Cars, yes.
Yeah, can we, David? I guess we can put Disney's Cars in there too.
Yes, we
Believe it or
can.
not- Believe it or not, after the first race, there's that tent and there's two cars talking. And one after that, at the end of that conversation, say, "Don't drive like my brother," and "Don't drive like my brother." Those two cars are actually played by Click and Clack, the Tepper brothers of Car Talk on NPR.
Oh wow!
There are a lot. I think there's quite a few.
And-
Okay.
And the funny thing about the interesting thing about that movie is, if you looked at the name of the car that Owen Wilson voiced for Lightning McQueen,
Yeah.
it's paying tribute to Steve McQueen.
Of course.
Also,
Yeah.
I think the name of the cup that they're going for, the Piston Cup, just doesn't sound right.
The Piston Cup, huh?
And don't forget.
Ew, he Piston Cup.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't
And
say
yeah.
Piston Cup.
Right. And of course, well, we know that also at the speaking of famous, because we know that Steve McQueen owned a few of the Le Mans cars, even when he made the movie The Le Mans.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And Paul Newman himself also raced in the Le Mans.
And we go back a bit further back.
Yeah.
Mickey
So-
Rooney was in a race movie way back in like the 40s.
Oh wow, interesting. Newman, and here's an interesting thing about Paul Newman. Newman won several national championships as a driver in sports car club of America road racing,
Mhm.
and won several he won several Indy cars.
Wow.
Patrick Dempsey, who used to be on Grey's Anatomy, he's another driver.
Right.
Now,
He was part of a team for the Le Mans and everything. So I have up here the car that he had for the Le Mans was the Porsche 935, completed 300 laps and everything.
Wow.
And I think
Darn
he
good.
finished second in that.
Nice.
Pretty
Overall
good.
position second, class position he finished first. But probably also going on about racing and everything. There's probably one show here that we're all forgetting about. Two shows, and one of them actually ties into the thing of our topic here too.
Wacky
Dave-
races.
Yep, and I'll leave that to David. I'll turn that one over to David.
okay, Wacky Races was a
Yep.
cartoon by Hanna-Barbera made in the 1960s. Now, there is a game show reference here because it was meant to be a kids' game show hosted by Wink Martindale. 3 kids would be asked to place wagers on who they think of the fictional drivers would win that race.
But I'll tell you, don't put all your money on Dick Dastardly.
Oh yeah.
Dick Dastardly, Penelope Pit Stop, my favorite driver.
Well, that's true.
But Snively Whiplash.
And they only did
Muttley.
like
Stanley Whiplash was not in Wacky Races.
Sadly, Whiplash was
that was the sequel.
the underdog, wasn't it?
Oh,
Yeah.
my bad. Sorry, wrong. I was making a wrong reference. I'm sorry.
Whiplash, that was Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Right.
No, that was
Wait a minute.
that was
Boris Badenoff. Boris Badenoff.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I made a wrong reference, guys.
That's all right.
But Stanley Whiplash was the one who was bothering Dudley Do-Right.
Dudley Do Right. That's the one. All right.
Okay.
What about I love Mudley when like you go.
And the one where they tell him, you've got to go act like Whiplash and go catch him. And he says, how come you're eating your peas that way? He says, well, I ate my peas with honey. I've done it all my life. It makes
All right, let's. We're off top. We're off-
Dudley, get out of here.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I referenced the wrong character.
That's
Okay.
It's okay.
Let's
I
get
do it
back to
too,
the
and I'm a lot older.
All right, guys.
Yep. And
Let's get back to
remember,
the-
Recess time.
Okay. Now, we've talked about racing in general.
Yeah.
We've talked about racing video games.
Uh-huh.
Let's talk about racing board games.
well, hold on.
Oh,
We forgot one piece
Speed
of the.
Racer.
Got
Yep. Well, I was just going to mention about Speed Racer since we were talking about. We brought up Rocky Races. We got to bring
Okay.
up about Speed Racer as
okay.
well.
that was one
All
of
right.
the first anime
Yeah.
Is it even on
to
wheels?
come over.
Yep.
Yep.
According to- Now,
Go
Well, considering it's probably one of the most well-known animes.
Oh, you
out
just
there.
reminded me of another one. From George of the Jungle. The second feature was Tom Slick.
Right. But-
Tom Slick and Turtle Creek.
Tom Slick, and the third one was Super Chicken.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now-
Super Chicken.
Now, of course, we know that anyone out there that's a big anime fan like me knows about Speed Racer and everything. And I'll just say that.
They didn't know a thing about it.
But I will say this: if you do get a chance to check it out, I know for a fact, it was dubbed back in the days when dubbing was not as sophisticated as it is now. But if you do get a chance to check out the series, I highly suggest, checking it out. Checking out Speed Racer.
It's an oldie but a goodie.
Right. It's an anime series that at least everyone should watch and
That was
everything.
one of the first ones that really brought anime over here.
Right. And it's lasted for so long. I think there's the last new series that came out, according to Wiki, was, I believe, the New Adventures of. That was an anime there. The new. Yeah, the last series of that was back in 1993, and I remember.
There's also a Speed Racer movie too.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Which did pretty. I think it did okay in it and everything. You had probably one of the best actors in that movie, John Goodman.
Yeah. Played Speed Racer's dad.
Pop or whatever it was.
Pops Racer.
Yep.
Well, I know Emil Hirsch. He played Speed Racer. I haven't seen the movie, but I don't know who played.
And this
Speed
was
Racer.
done by the same people who brought us The Matrix, the Wachowski brothers.
Okay.
All right, moving
Now-
on to the topic of tabletop gaming.
Yeah.
Let's
Ne-
go.
All right then. There are several board games that simulate car racing, but of all of them, the one.
Hold on. I will bring up Board Game Geek and I'll run down a list of a few of them.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
Well, no, go ahead.
Okay.
You bring that up, and I'm looking
Who the
up the
fuck
list
is
right
running
now.
this show anyway?
Yeah.
Both of us.
Okay.
Both of us.
All right. Of all of them, the one that is probably most well known and the most popular of them is a game from France called Formula Day. Formula
It's
D in
wonderful.
the United States.
Wonderful.
This is the Monaco
Okay.
track that I'm showing right now on the screen.
What? Screen. Okay. Let me
That's
That
get
is
it.
the
Monaco
Monaco
track
Grand
for
Prix
Monaco
track
D.
for Formula Day or Formula D, however you want to call it.
Oh, where are you again?
That is the actual Formula One track. That is a drawing of the Formula One track at Monaco.
There we
The
go.
half track that I have now.
That's not a half track. That is the full circuit.
Oh,
I didn't even see it.
Was that the full circuit they want to have?
Yes.
I think they should. It looks cool.
Now,
Here we are.
Now,
There we are.
some
here.
people have. Now, I know quite a few of you in recent days have played this.
I played.
Chuck, I know you haven't.
Nope, I haven't at all yet, man. I want to try it though.
Okay.
We will.
I've only played it once.
Okay,
That was
so-
last
I
night.
played it twice. It's
So,
cool.
all right.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. Here's what I found in that the top 10, and David, if you don't mind me giving off
Go
the
ahead.
top 10 list.
Go ahead.
These are the top 10 auto racing board games as reported by people from Board Game Geek. And if you're ever looking for a board game and want to know more about it, Board Game Geek is the place to go for about everything and anything about board games or tabletop gaming. So I am going to do this from the bottom up
Okay, go ahead.
as I find. Okay.
Number 10.
I have here,
it's David Letterman.
in the famous words of the former host of the Tonight Show, I have here tonight's top 10 list.
Yeah.
That's the night show. That's the late
The
night with
late
David
show.
Letterman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
the
the
late
show.
Yeah.
Or the
So-
late show, depending on which.
Coming
Depending
in-
on which version.
Yeah.
Coming in at number 10,
It's not
The-
Karnak.
the Stock Car Championship Racing card game. And you can find this over on Board Game Geek. I just typed in car racing video board games. Then we have a
Number 9.
then we have a German
Oh, Come on.
board game here, which I am not going to try to pronounce or spell.
Okay.
But number 8, Formula Motor Racing, and it's a scaled down version of F1. Then we actually have a board game called Formula One
Okay.
and everything. And I'm gonna check it out real quick. I'm gonna let you guys. Wait for it to look. Yep. I hear Elliot typing, so Elliot's doing that now. Yep. This is a British board game that only came out in, I believe, in England and everything. So those are it's a game that's not in print anymore, I should say.
All right. What's its name?
Formula One.
Okay.
Here's,
Oh.
Eric, I'm going to pronounce number 9. It's called Ausgebremst.
Okay.
Ah,
AUSGBREMST. Ausgebremst.
Okay.
Um,
All right, Scott, keep going.
all right. So number 6, Boldy.
Okay.
Number
Number
5, Speed Circuit.
Okay.
And that one came out by 3M Games and Avalon Hill.
Okay.
No.
Number 4, and we were just talking about this race too, Daytona 500.
Right.
Oh.
Yep.
Number 3.
Number 3,
I'll pronounce this one, Scott. Das Motorsportspiel.
Yeah.
Another German one.
Yep.
Number 2, Rally Man.
Number 1,
And the
baby.
number 1 game of all land. Our long distance education goes to.
I'll let you say this one, Elliot.
Formula Day.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
surprise, surprise.
Why
No
not?
wonder
It's a
we
bit
wanna play
different.
it.
Board
Okay.
game racing.
Now, folks, for those that are listening, if you're interested in knowing what Formula Day is, we can supply a link. Just ask, and we will supply it.
Right. And we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Elliot,
Yes.
I know you have played with us, and you have played this game live. Your thoughts on it?
I played it before. I even played it before I played it with you guys. Very good game. It's, I don't know how on the realistic scale, it's pretty good. I mean, it's still dice. It's dice, so you got to deal with the dice. But
Yeah, you got to
do
deal
have
with luck.
you do the dice, and the shifting gear mechanism really works good because you have to change gears when you go into those big curves. This is Formula One racing with all the curves because it's not. I mean, you could do an Indy race on the Indy track, but that's kind of boring. It's not. It's just how much dice points can you roll up. But whether you do the Formula One tracks, you really got to pay attention to what gear you're in. So the dice mechanism really works well with this game. A lot of strategy involved with that.
All right.
Yes.
Mhm.
Now, Scott, what are your thoughts on Formula D?
I
Or
actually
Formula
got
Day. Yeah.
I actually got into it from watching a review about it. and everything.
Will
So
Wheaton.
that's a,
On Dice
No.
Tower?
no. This was actually before Dice Tower and before Wesley Crusher decided to
Review it. Yeah.
review it. This was from a board game series called Board Games with Scott, not with me. This is another person named Scott.
Okay.
And he actually reviewed the game Formula D. And it was from that review that got me into the game and everything.
Okay. Now, Scott, do you own the actual board game?
Yes, I do.
Formula D? Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
it's in my
I know-
closet, buried under other board games and everything.
Okay. Carla,
Yeah,
what are your thoughts of Formula D?
it's good because you don't know what's gonna happen.
Mm.
You got to be careful if you overshoot it. If you do, because you might have to use your tire points or your brake points or even fuel
Well,
points
that was a good
to
example.
save it to make that point. But other than that, it can be really good, and you can see have thrilling finishes till the
Yeah,
end,
last
too.
night.
We'll tell you about that here in a few minutes, folks.
Yeah.
Bill, your thoughts on Formula D? Because I
I've
know
only
you've
played
played
it
it once.
one time,
but
and
why-
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a thinking game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, back over to you, Elliot.
Yes.
Now, the basic game of Formula D comes with Monaco, at least now it does. It comes with Monaco and a street racing circuit. Would
I
you
played-
rather see more realistic tracks featured in the game, or would you rather see more fictional tracks featured in the game?
I like to see both. I think I have an idea for a fictional track myself. I want to do one in space.
Oh, boy.
You go around planets. You go around planets. I would really love to
Well,
do that.
like,
I
what-
have in mind. I want
What
I wanna
do you want to
create space
go, Red Uranus?
Oh God.
Stay
Well,
away
there-
from the
There's actually a board game like that and everything that I played a while back where it does take place in space.
What's it
Oh,
called?
boy.
The racing game?
Yeah.
And no, folks, it's not Zathora.
Nah.
Okay. Now, Chuck.
It's
You
called.
there?
It's one called Space Race, the card game. Then Race Through
No.
Space, the board. Is it Race Through Space?
No, it's something else.
Eh.
Chuck,
I
you
can't
there?
think of it at the moment. Ciao.
I think we lost Chuck.
Ciao.
Yep.
Ciao.
But there's a lot of them out there and everything too.
Now, Scott, I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you want to
Alright.
see more fictional tracks in Formula D or more actual tracks?
I would say more actual tracks, like more of what we had, what the current race season is for F1.
Okay.
So I would like to see, the lineup, the current lineup of both F1 and the FE series as well.
Okay. Carla, same question to you, my dear.
I agree with Ali. I want a mixture of both.
Okay.
Like fictional and realistic ones.
Okay. Bill, your thoughts? More
Go
more
ahead.
fictional tracks, more real tracks, or a mixture of both?
I'd say
5 minutes.
probably a mixture of both, but more realistic than
Okay.
new ones.
All right, good.
Now, for
Oh,
people that don't understand how Formula D works, yes, it is a dice game. Your car is given a certain amount of wear points. I call them hit points. Points
Mm.
mainly because me and Scott were D&D players. What makes this game different between just rolling dice and moving your pieces, and the best and the highest score wins, is those turns. If you'll notice right there, thank you, Elliot. if you'll notice that above each of those turns, there is a sign.
Mm-hmm.
So right here,
Has
you
a
said
number.
it's a number 2. It means you have to stop twice. When you roll, anytime you roll a dice, you go. Let's say you roll 4, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. At the end of your roll, it's counted as a stop. You have to stop in this turn. You have to stop twice. Otherwise, you're going to take damage.
And in the basic game, you have 18 wear points. If you lose them all, your game is over. You can be eliminated from this game without making it to the end. As I eloquently found out a few nights ago.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, you did.
Yep.
It looked like a real pileup at the finish line.
Yeah, that last night was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Mm.
But in the basic game, you get 18 wear points. Anytime you overshoot a turn, you lose 1 wear point for every space you overshot the turn. If you lose them all, game over.
Mm-hmm.
At least for you. The advanced rules, which is the ones we use, distribute those wear points among different systems of your car.
Right. But we like to keep things simple, so we just leave everything as is.
Yeah, as standard. What we call standard. Yeah. Now, Elliot, which track is that, buddy?
I don't remember. I just clicked one.
You just loaded one.
I just put one at random.
Okay.
Well, there should be a map. There should be a map icon somewhere on there.
That was
The one-
kind of like the Monaco one we played last night.
Is that the France one?
No,
No.
France is a 4.
I don't
Yeah.
see any. I don't see any
Yeah.
name on this one at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So there are
you get
all
one
the
for-
boards. Okay.
Now, us as a group, we have got together and we have played this.
Yes.
Right.
Go on, tell the story about last night.
Yep.
Okay. We were racing on the Melbourne circuit, which is an expansion you can buy for this game. The basic game comes with Monaco and a street racing circuit. We
I'll
were
bring up-
racing last.
I'll bring up Melbourne.
Now, while Elliot loads that up, understand one thing. For this entire race, there's the Melbourne circuit.
And there's that big kangaroo in the middle of the track.
Yeah. For this entire race, me, Elliot, and Carla are trading the lead back and forth. Back
In
and
the
forth.
last lap.
Hey guys, I'll be back.
Okay, Jack.
And we got 1 minute, so it's going on 9:30. So wrap it up.
Right.
Okay. But the point is you're going to have a lot of fun with this game, and it's still readily available. Just
Right.
check eBay, Amazon, or Walmart.com to pick up a copy.
And the
Or-
funny and the funny thing is, I won the race.
Yeah. An
Or-
Australian
well-
beat us.
That's
Well,
the Australian.
well, no.
won the Australian Grand Prix.
She won, or or in the case, she won her home Grand Prix.
Yep.
Now,
Now,
also-
we got a home game.
right
Here you go.
now, also with that, if you can't find it on there, I would also suggest looking on Board Game Geek in their marketplace. You should be able to find it there. They will, and they will have links to it either on eBay or that you can buy it directly from their store and everything.
Okay.
So,
And,
Alright,
now-
and with
now
that-
it's 9:30.
Yep.
Gotta
Yep.
go.
and with that, if you like this, we'll have a topic about how we'll,
And be sure to hit
Yeah.
that subscribe button.
Yep.
Right.
Be sure to hit
and-
the subscribe button for us.
right, like we
And
said at the
and
top,
like us in the comments.
right, and like we said at the top of the show, we were trying something new also with this. We're not strictly sticking to game shows. We're trying to branch out. So hopefully you enjoyed this talk about racing and racing video games, anime that had to deal with that. I know that there's a lot more, but when it comes to anime, Speed Racer is kind of like the definitive racing anime. I grew up watching it back in Cartoon Network back in the day. So until next time, I'm Scott, and with everyone here, we thank you for joining us.
Bye.
We'll see you next week for
Same
more
bat
of.
time, same bat YouTube.
Right. We'll
Yep.
see you next
See ya.
week for more of Game Show Talk and Fun. Until then,
Episode
take
review.
care,
Bye.
and we'll see you then. Good night,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Night,
Bye-bye.
everyone.